grab those pencils and let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start to move down onto the collar, onto Santa's coat. We're going to come down here now, and I'm going to work around this bit that comes off the edge of the fur. Before I do that, I just want to say a few words about the colour choices that I used for his coat before we start, just so that I can give you a couple of suggestions for other colours if you don't have the colours that I'm using. So there are quite a few colours that have gone into Santa's coat. And the way that I decided the colours that I was going to use when I looked at the reference photograph was I took all my reds across all my ranges of pencils, and I have quite a few reds across the ranges actually, and I swatched them. So if I just put that there, I swatched them to get the colours that I wanted for his coat. There were specific sort of reds that I needed in places. In certain places I needed reds that were a little bit more orangey. In other places I needed reds that were a bit darker or a bit brighter. So I came up with this choice of pencils that I'm going to show you now. So let me just cover Santa over a bit so that I can just put that down. I'll put that back there so you can see that. And I'm just going to put a little swatch here. And I've got some pencil choices that I'm just going to share with you now. So I obviously use some of the Caran Luminance, but I'm going to presume that you might have the Polychromos, so that if I have used a Luminance, I'm just going to suggest another colour that you could use in the Polychromos now. The first red that I used in his coat is from the Luminance range, and I used Crimson Alizarin Hue. And if I just put this down, this is the colour that I've used in the portrait. So that's the Crimson Alizarin Hue, and it's in the description. It's in the pencil list in the description. If you don't have that, because that's a Luminance pencil, the closest one that you could use would be the Caput Mortem Violet. So this is the Polychromos Caput Mortem Violet. If I just show you the difference, I do use the Caput Mortem Violet in the coat anyway. But I also go on to use this alizarin crimson, and if you don't have that, you'll just have to carry on with the Caput Mortem Violet. That's sort of like the closest colour. And of course you can mix colours on the palettes. You could mix it with a lighter one to get something a bit lighter. So that's that colour that I've used. The other colour that I used is Permanent Red, which is more of a sort of orangey red, because I needed that in areas. So that's Permanent Red again from the Luminance. If you don't have that, you could try using Scarlet Red. It's not exactly the same, but it's not too dissimilar. You could use that. So this is the Scarlet Red from the Polychromos, if you would rather use that, if you've only got the Polychromos. The other one that I use is Scarlet from the Luminance. And I went through, as I say, I went through all the brands of colours, and these were just the best ones that I could see that went together to create this coat, because there's quite a lot of reds in this coat. So this is the, what did I say that was? That was Scarlet. So this is the Scarlet. If you don't have Scarlet, you can use the Deep Scarlet Red from the Polychromos. It's not quite the same, but it's not that different. It's a little bit more pinky actually, and the one that I wanted was a bit more orangey. This I felt was a bit more pink. It took me a while actually to go through all the colours and put them all together and sort of work out which ones work quite nicely. But yeah, so you could use the Deep Scarlet Red if you've only got the Polychromos. That's a colour that you could use. I also, in places, need a bit of orange. So I'm just using the orange from the Luminance range. But you could easily use the cadmium orange. It's not too dissimilar at all, actually. You could use the cadmium orange if you only had the Polychromos. I'm also going to use some little bit of Van Dyke Brown and a little bit of walnut from the Polychromos. So I'll use those as well, but I'm just going to presume you've got those because that's the Polychromos. And finally, the other colour that I'm going to use, which you may need to have a substitution is I'm going to use the Light Flesh 10% from the Luminance range, which is sort of like a peachy, creamy colour. There isn't really a very good substitution in the Polychromos for the Light Flesh 10%. The best thing that I can suggest is to use a little bit of the beige red, which you'll have, which is your pinky colour, with a little bit of ivory mixed into it to turn it into a bit more of a peachy colour. So you'll be mixing the beige red and the ivory to get the light flesh. That's sort of the closest. You can see it's not an exact match, but it will still do what you want. It'll still give you quite a good result on the coat. So that's the only suggestion that I can make for that. So hopefully that's just a few suggestions of alternative colours that you can use to create some of the colours that we're going to need on the coat now. Okay, so I think we'll leave the tutorial there for today. That'll give you a chance to go through your pencil cases and your toolbox and sort out your reds that you're going to use if you're not using the pencils that are on the materials list. So I'll be back again tomorrow and we'll start on Santa's coat. Hope you're enjoying drawing Santa with me so far. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again tomorrow.